Good morning. Thanks for joining me at Cuddles and Milk in Petaluma today. How is everyone? Happy Monday. So today I'm very excited. We're going to be talking about our breastfeeding journey. We're getting near the end. We started with episode 1 about kind of before pregnancy and then that immediate after in the hospital, those first couple of weeks, the first couple of months, even now we're out to episode 9, introducing solid food. So this is a really exciting time with breastfeeding because you've made it to that 6-month mark, usually, sometimes 5. It depends upon your pediatrician, but we're going to go with 6 for right now. So you've made it out 6 months. Baby's been breastfeeding, and now it's time to introduce solid food. Okay, so even babies that have been formula feeding, they still need to introduce solid food, right? So regardless of how they're eating, it's time to introduce solid food. So the question is, how do you do it? Well, and most of my parents say to me, well, the pediatrician said as soon as they're 6 months old, they're ready, right? It's like a birthday kind of thing. No, it really shouldn't be thought of that way. So evaluating for starting solid food is less about the age and more about how the baby is doing. So yes, most 6-month-olds will be ready, but is your child ready? That's something you can figure out, right? So you can look at how they are developmentally. Can your child sit up unsupported? Not all 6-month-olds can. Can they sit in the high chair? Practice. Put them in the high chair and hand them a couple of teethers. Watch and see. Do they tip over and fall down? Do they fall forward or do they stay sitting up? They need to be able to stay sitting up. If your child can't stay sitting up, they're not ready for solids, even mush solids, okay? How is their suck and swallow? How is their breathing, right? Also, just keep in mind, if the baby has a first cold or a bad cold, it may not be the right week to start solid foods, because if they can't breathe through their nose when they're eating, that's going to be a little extra tough, right? So evaluating and making sure your baby is ready for solids is really important, and unfortunately not always discussed with the pediatrician. Sometimes I hear that they just do it based on age, and I want you to make sure that your baby is ready. Sitting up and holding their neck up is really important. If we're doing this and falling over, we're going to choke when we put some solid food in there, and you don't want that. It's so scary with little babies. And yes, they can probably move a puree fairly easily and it won't be a big deal, but it's terrifying to watch your baby choke. So make sure your child can sit up, test them out in that high chair that you want to use, see how they do, make sure they can hold their head up and test it out a little, hand them some little teethers, see what they do, right? And then you can even start with, as long as your pediatrician says it's okay, start with a few of those little tiny cracker things that dissolve basically as soon as they get in the mouth. That's another great way to start, to see how is baby doing, right? When we talk about actual food, you do not need to be buying any baby food. I highly encourage you just to be cooking your own food as you normally eat and giving your baby little sections. I call it a fork in the road, right? So you're going to make stir fry and you're going to pull off some of the veggies before you add in the salmon or something for baby, whatever, right? So it's just kind of little changes. But if they grow up eating what you're eating, they will be much more adventurous and healthy eaters than if they're just eating quote unquote baby and kid food, but that's a whole nother discussion. So let's kind of keep on track. So baby is ready for some food, right? So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, what do we do about how much food? How much food is baby supposed to be getting? Are they like eating solids 3 times a day? Are we done with the milk and the bottles and everything? No, baby is not done with the bottles until a year. Okay. Now, depending, some babies at 6 months old, you can switch them to a sippy cup. You can stop, decrease and stop using that bottle and switch them into better cups. You should always find out and make sure you have a good sippy cup, because some are better for oral development and some are worse. If you want, check me out at Cuddles and Milk Petaluma on Instagram. I have a great infographic of good and bad sippy cups. Okay, so you can look for that. Also, know that at 6 months, baby's liquid food is up here, whether it's formula, breast milk, solid food's down here. By 9 months, we're more even. By a year, or mostly solid food and little liquid, right? Not that liquid still doesn't have tons of bonus. Breastfeeding a toddler has a ton of health benefits, which actually I will start talking about that in the next couple of episodes about what it's like to breastfeed a toddler. But for today, we're just talking about how much food they need at 6 months. Most of their calories still needs to be coming from breast milk, okay? By a year, most of their calories is coming from solid food. So it's kind of a gradual reduction in the amount of liquid that they're taking, right? You know, by 9 months, they're taking a lot more solids. You might at that point be able to make sure that we're eating 3 meals a day of solids so that they're taking less liquid, but it doesn't happen overnight, okay? It's not like 6 months and boom, solid food and no more liquid. They still need those calories. They still need that full fat. Also, make sure that at under 2 years old, you're feeding your child full fat, okay? That means full fat dairy, no 2% milk, whole milk, no low fat sour cream, whole sour cream, no low fat cheeses. Fat is essential for our brain development. If you want the baby's brain to develop correctly, fat actually goes on and it coats all of our little neurons in our cells and the connection in there in our cells. And without that, we don't have good brain development, okay? So they cannot survive on low fat. They need full fat. So get that full fat yogurt. It is absolutely amazing and you will love it while they're under 2. It's such a treat. Okay. So that's an important thing to think about is how much of their food at 6 months they're taking mostly liquid and not at a year they're taking mostly solids, right? The last thing I want to touch on today as we start talking about feeding is also teething. Teething comes in and breastfeeding babies sometimes start biting around teething. Okay, so let's talk about how to deal with that. So remember, when a baby is eating, the mouth is open and then it comes on the breast, right? And it's sucking and it's pulling and sucking. When we bite, we're up and down. We're not pulling. So this is a different motion than this, okay? So what usually happens is when we bite, we're playing with our food, kind of. We're at the end of the feed, we're not that hungry, and we're just testing out our teeth, right? So you don't want to scare the baby, but a little bit of scare is okay, just not terrified, but a quick, ouch, that hurt, mommy. Take the baby off, take a break. Now, when I say a break, I mean a baby-sized break. A break could literally be 30 to 90 seconds. That's fine. That enough of a break is like a little mini timeout for them. That works in baby's time. And then, 1-2 minutes later, you're like, okay, we can try. We'll go back on. Baby does it again. Ouch, that really hurt, mommy. Let's stop. We're going to take a little bit of a longer break, okay? So you just have to help them understand that that's not what we use their teeth for, but this is all new. And not all babies will try biting, okay? I don't want to scare breastfeeding moms out there that this is definitely going to happen because it doesn't always. But just know that sometimes it does, but they're just testing things out. They're trying to figure out how does their body work? What do they do with these things? And remember, it's been painful. They've been having all these teeth come in and it hurts, right? Another thing you can do is you can freeze some little breast milk and then chunk it off and give like slivers of it for baby to suck on. You never want to give a big ice cube, right? Because they could choke on it. So we're talking thin little slivers and pieces while they're while they're teething, and they can have a little piece in their mouth, and that's cool as it melts and everything, but never give a hunk. Even what we think of as a small ice cube could still choke baby's airway. So we're talking flat little slivers, okay? But that type of cool, or you can freeze a teether, you can get those little necklaces, something to give them some cool, something to bite on. You can say, ouch, that hurts, mommy. Here, chew on this. This is what you can suck on or chew on. Mommy is not what you chew on, okay? So you can do stuff like that. All right, so let's do a quick recap talking about introducing food today on episode 9, talking about the fact that how to know baby's ready means we're evaluating if they can sit up, that mom's breast milk or formula is still most of the food until all of the food till 6 months and most of the food until we get close to a year, and how to deal with that quick biting. So I hope you enjoyed today, Cuddles and Milk and Petaluma. Hope to see you again, and check out my website, Cuddles and Milk Petaluma. Facebook is Cuddles and Milk Petaluma, and Instagram. My website is just www.cuddlesandmilk.com. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you again. Have a great day. Bye.